The Chinese Communist Party (CCP) has an army of 2 million soldiers, but they may soon face an enemy force of over 40 million. Although the enemy is unarmed, they have been driven to the edge with nothing left to lose. They have become fearless of death. According to data released by China's Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, as of March 2025, the number of people nationwide who have suspended their social insurance payments has exceeded 42 million, accounting for 17.8% of urban employees participating in the basic pension insurance. Among them, 31.7% of people aged 25 to 35 have suspended their payments, while the suspension rate for flexible employment individuals is as high as 38%. What does it mean to suspend social insurance payment? It means that these individuals have already decided that they will not receive pensions, retirement funds, medical insurance, or any social welfare in the future. They have completely lost trust in this society and the country. They choose to live day by day, working only to meet the minimum survival level, with no additional expectations or goals. They refer to their lives as being measured by hours, with their daily earnings only enough to survive a few days. Their only demand is not to pay a single cent for social insurance. How did things come to this point? Let us first look at a recent news story that emerged in China.
有这么一个事儿，1岁的时间就参加工作了。
There's this story about someone who supposedly started working at just 1 year old and retired at 22. They had their records altered 14 times, navigating through various checks. They passed the initial review at their workplace, the recheck at the Human Resources and Social Security Department, and the final social insurance review. Not only did this person retire early under the guise of a special work category, but even more astonishingly, over the years, they collected a total of 690,000 yuan in pension while working at another job and receiving wages. It's truly mind-blowing. This happened at the CDC in Pu County, Shaanxi Province, a bizarre yet real event. The National Audit Office discovered and reported it during an audit, and the story quickly went viral. It's now been revealed that more than 28,000 people across 25 provinces in China falsely retired by faking medical records, altering files, and creating bogus special work categories, illegally receiving nearly 520 million yuan in pension payments. Even worse, in 13 provinces, over 40 billion yuan of pension funds collected from citizens were used to pay off government debts and fund civil servant salaries. Think about it, how can there be any fairness in this society? Where's the justice? Who would still dare to contribute to the social insurance fund in the future? A netizen revealed that the current amount reported as misappropriated is over 40 billion yuan, and it can no longer be recovered. An additional 60 billion yuan has vanished without a trace, and there may be even more undiscovered amounts. Another netizen commented, "I stopped paying a long time ago. The best way to deal with them is to let them handle it themselves." However, the CCP authorities did not spare the 40 million strong group of people who had suspended their social insurance payments. They coined a new term called social insurance contribution base. Taking Shanghai as an example, the city's statutory minimum wage standard is 2,690 yuan, while the social insurance contribution base is set at 7,384 yuan. Based on this figure, the minimum social insurance payment for workers is 2,673 yuan, of which employers are required to contribute 1,898 yuan and employees must pay 775 yuan. In theory, if strictly adhering to the regulations, an employer could hire a worker for a minimum salary of 4,587 yuan in Shanghai, but the employee would receive less than 2,000 yuan in actual wages. Even more concerning is the CCP's recent announcement that starting September 1st, new regulations of mandatory social insurance contributions will be fully implemented. This will prohibit businesses and employees from privately agreeing to forgo social insurance payments. In addition, authorities have required companies to pay back historical arrears, which will undoubtedly be a fatal blow to small and medium-sized enterprises. The new regulations require all businesses, restaurants, and individual operators to fully contribute to a comprehensive social insurance system for their employees, including pension, medical, unemployed, work injury, and maternity insurance. Companies found in violation must not only pay back all arrears but also face a late payment penalty of 0.05% per day. Workers can terminate their labor contracts based on this and demand financial compensation. Companies that fail to pay work injury insurance must cover the full cost of employee compensation for work-related injuries. According to data from China's Ministry of Human Resources and Social Security, companies nationwide are required to contribute 38% to 45% of the total wages for 5 social insurances and 1 housing fund. For positions with a monthly salary of 3,000 to 5,000 yuan, employers are required to bear an additional 1,000 to 2,000 yuan in social insurance costs per month. The announcement of mandatory social insurance payments has hit like a bombshell, shattering the previously unspoken balance between employers and employees over social insurance contributions. Recently, a job recruitment notice from Young's Fried Dumpling, a popular restaurant chain, was widely shared online. The position listed was for a Shanghai dialect waiter, with a salary of 3,200 yuan per month, employee meals provided, and a work schedule of 1 shift on, 1 off. The requirements were Shanghai residence permit, fluent in Shanghainese, and aged over 50. Netizens commented, "With the new social insurance regulations, the approach of Young's Fried Dumpling is brilliant. They only hire retired locals in Shanghai, fluent in Shanghainese and over 50 years old. No need to pay social insurance, saving a significant amount of money, while earning a good reputation for caring for the elderly. But what about those who aren't retired? Young people will find it harder to get jobs. Companies save on costs, but those who really need social insurance still have no solution." A community cafeteria in the Putuo district of Shanghai recently posted a recruitment ad requiring male applicants to be over 60 years old and female applicants to be over 55. The only requirements were steady hands for serving dishes and steady when walking. This sparked further online debate. Another widely circulated video shows a female law intern earning 2,500 yuan per month. After deducting basic expenses like transportation and meals, she is almost in a paying-to-work situation, highlighting the impact of mandatory social insurance on low-income groups.
I just got off work. My boss told me that my social insurance would be deducted from my salary. My original 2,500 yuan salary was reduced by 1,800 yuan for social insurance, leaving me with only 700 yuan. I work 22 days a month, which means my daily wage is only 30 yuan. Moreover, I need to pay social insurance to get my intern lawyer certificate. Without proof of social insurance payments, I can't get the internship certificate, which means I can't become an intern lawyer, and certainly can't register to be a practicing lawyer. I have to pay 12 yuan every day for the subway to get to work, and I need to eat. I'm now paying to work every day. I can't even afford to pay for social insurance, let alone get my certificate. I don't understand why society still needs law students like us. Maybe they should just cancel the profession altogether. I don't see any point in it anymore. Right now, I'm living off the little money I make from tutoring and some from my grandparents. I really can't afford to live anymore.
A netizen pointed out that the problems with the social insurance system are not just about chaotic contribution bases, fund misappropriation, and corruption. These have become commonplace. The fatal issue is inflation. If you contribute 1,000 yuan today, 10 years from now, due to a tenfold devaluation of the renminbi, the pension you receive may only be enough to buy a loaf of bread. Do people think this is alarmist? Just look at the Russian ruble next door. In the past 7 to 8 years, it has devalued 6 to 7 times, not even considering the black market rate. Currency devaluation is quieter and more deadly than any policy failure. Imagine this. You're a delivery worker earning 5,000 yuan a month. If you contribute to social insurance, 1,000 yuan will be deducted from your salary, leaving you with just 4,000 yuan. With rent, utilities, and food expenses adding up to nearly this amount, would you still pay for social insurance? The answer is clearly no. Because you might not even have enough money to eat today, who has the luxury to think about pensions decades down the line? He mentioned a movie called In Time. In that world, humans have no natural lifespan. Everyone starts counting time at 25 years old, with the time on their timers indicating their lifespan. The poor work desperately every day just to survive until the next day, while the rich possess thousands, even tens of thousands, of years of time. They can waste it, enjoy it, and spend a century making a mistake. The lower class is always trapped in their own time zone, never having a chance to cross over. This is not science fiction, it is the real-life situation of young people in China today. Only we've replaced the timer with one called cash flow. By 2024, the number of people in flexible employment nationwide has exceeded 230 million, accounting for 30% of the total workforce and more than 40% of urban employment. If mandatory social insurance is enforced, this number will rise more dramatically. The number of people suspending their social insurance payments will only increase, and the gap in the social insurance system will grow larger. A netizen concluded by stating, "The relationship between young people in China and the aging social insurance system is not simply one of opposition, but more like two candles tied to the same rope. Once the rope breaks, both will perish together." On August 9th, outside the Chef Fei Chinese Stir-Fried Meat King restaurant at Mixed Sea World Commercial Complex in Suzhou City, a man wearing a helmet, seemingly a delivery rider, had a sign behind him that read, "Power is only accountable to its source. The Chinese people need the right to vote." This scene was witnessed by passers-by. Someone took a photo and posted it online, sparking heated discussions. Netizens on X platform and YouTube commented, "Even a delivery rider is awakening. More and more righteous people are appearing. Public awareness has been growing rapidly recently. Many Chinese are waking up. Some express it through action, while others through silence. The people of Taiwan support the Chinese people's right to vote." However, some netizens expressed concern. "This is dangerous. He should have written it in a public restroom. He has used his one and only chance for free speech. They're all brave warriors. I hope they stay safe." The words he wrote are simple, but they carry a heavy weight. Leaving this message in a public place takes immense courage and means taking on significant risk. On the evening of August 10th, in the Lingang special area of Shanghai, multiple delivery riders were intercepted by security guards while making deliveries, triggering collective discontent. Over 200 riders from platforms like Meituan, Ella.me, and JD quickly arrived at the scene, refusing to deliver and chanting slogans demanding the cancellation of the ban. According to several witnesses, the property management in the area recently introduced a new rule, banning delivery riders from entering the complex on electric bikes, requiring all deliveries to be made on foot. This unreasonable regulation immediately sparked dissatisfaction among riders, who questioned its fairness and the increased workload, especially during the hot summer weather. Some riders had already collapsed from a heat stroke. Witnesses said that after the police arrived, one protesting rider was arrested, which led to an escalation of the conflict. The enraged riders surrounded the police car, blocking its departure and chanting, "Release him! Release him!" The police were eventually forced to release the arrested rider. Reports stated that in the early hours of August 11th, the riders in property management reached a negotiated agreement. The property management agreed to cancel the no electric bike rule, allowing riders to enter the complex at speeds of no more than 25 kilometers per hour for deliveries. The protesting riders then gradually dispersed. Why not have the delivery riders drop the orders at the security office and then have the security guards run the deliveries to the residents? This would solve the issue. Another netizen commented, "This residential community should suspend all orders, forcing residents who need deliveries to push the property management or the homeowners committee, rather than making the delivery riders fight for it." Regarding this rare victory for the delivery riders, some netizens praised the outcome. "Unite, collectively resist, a great example of victory." In every emergency, the first priority is to demand people and fight for rights. Only through unity can the vulnerable groups avoid being manipulated by powerful forces. This is about survival, not play. Using umbrellas and fire extinguishers can also block cameras. Don't scatter. Incidents alarming the authorities continue to emerge. On August 13th, an overseas X-platform user named Overseas Expose posted that on August 12th, a slogan appeared on a utility pole in Langfang City, Hebei Province. "The CCP is not China. The CCP is the descendant of Marxism-Leninism, while the Chinese people are descendants of the Yan and Huang emperors." Some netizens commented, "Things are changing. Daring to write and post this, the message carries significant weight." The frequency is increasing, with more people standing up every day. If the economy doesn't improve, protests will keep growing. Another netizen noted that the current atmosphere seems more and more suitable for major incidents. The Jiangyo bullying incident has put the authorities in a difficult position, and the brainwashing propaganda intended for the masses, Nanjing Photo Studio, has been thrown back in their faces. The mandatory social insurance feels like a dark cloud hanging over the working class, making it hard for them to breathe. Meanwhile, the mysterious Young Lan in Australia has completely shattered the mentality of the masses. There are even rumors circulating online that Young Lan is Xi Jinping's illegitimate daughter or niece. Although there is no solid evidence, the rumors are widespread due to her vast wealth, her Australian connections, and the authorities' silence on the matter. More strangely, the CCP has not issued any form of clarification or explanation about her identity so far. Du Wen, a former Chinese official from Inner Mongolia who lives overseas now, analyzed in a video that from the moment public opinion exploded, the first reaction from the public was, "This must be true." Because the phrase, "child of CCP elites" alone is enough to trigger people's imaginations. He outlined several reasons why the forces behind her may be highly unusual. Multiple direct relatives of Xi Jinping have lived in Australia for an extended period. Young Lan possesses an astronomical fortune in Australia, which is claimed to be from legal income. If the rumors are true, then only Xi Jinping would have this capacity. Young Lan is under joint protection by both the Chinese and Australian governments. Both governments are fully aware of her identity, and their silence in the face of such massive public opinion indicates her high level of importance. This kind of protection typically requires an intergovernmental agreement, and it's likely that only Xi Jinping could receive such treatment. To make the situation even more perplexing, just as the Young Lan incident began to escalate, a series of coincidences began to emerge. On August 5th, China officially allowed Australian apples to be imported into China for the first time. This was agreed in July, but not actioned. Then, on August 8th, China directly provided a $2 billion loan to Australia's mining industry. An article on the CCP-backed platform NetEase cited a post by a Chinese netizen. This is beyond our understanding, but it's good that Sino-Australian relations are back on track. The article noted that netizens were very insightful. When this incident first surfaced, many netizens had already predicted its outcome. They had guessed it correctly. Sino-Australian relations had entered a honeymoon period. A well-known commentator stated that Young Lan had only been granted conditional bail, surrendering her passport, being restricted from leaving the country, prohibited from driving, required to report regularly, and comply with a curfew. While these conditions are strict, they have once again raised questions about the fairness of the system. For a defendant with immense wealth and resources, are such restrictions enough to act as a deterrent? And for the victim, does this imply that justice is being diluted? International mainstream media have maintained a restrained stance in their coverage of Young Lan, but it's widely noted that the source of her wealth remains opaque and her identity is highly mysterious. The stark contrast between her extremely visible luxury and her extremely hidden background has made the public even more uneasy. A comment from a Chinese netizen is quite representative. My WeChat is linked to my bank card. Lan's WeChat is linked to the National Treasury. Another netizen commented that the Chinese economy is in a state of collapse, a trend that the authorities have seen and are unable to stop. The CCP elite is carrying out the sinking ship plan at an unprecedented speed. The mandatory social insurance and the Young Lan incident are both part of this plan. One side extracts the last drop of blood from the people through mandatory social insurance, while the other side is frantically transferring capital. Renowned self-media personality Wen Zhao believes that the investigation into Young Lan and Liu Jianchao, the CCP's Minister of International Liaison, is a sign of intense wealth and power transfers occurring within the CCP's elite. A complete picture is beginning to emerge. Wen Zhao analyzed that China's broad money supply, M2, continues to grow, now exceeding 300 trillion yuan. However, the country is experiencing persistent deflation. China's trade surplus has repeatedly set new records, reaching 826 billion in 2023, yet foreign exchange reserves have not increased accordingly. These contradictory phenomena indicate that a significant portion of the newly issued yuan has been exchanged for US dollars and moved abroad. leading to domestic deflation and foreign exchange reserves not growing in sync. Wen Zhao linked the Young Lan incident with other recent cases, including the investigation of Shi Yongxin, a former abbot of Shaolin Temple, and Mao Qinyue, a Chinese executive at Wells Fargo. These cases are connected, pointing to a larger picture of CCP elites rapidly transferring assets overseas. Wen Zhao further explained that large-scale asset transfers across borders cannot rely on underground channels, but often need to go through government channels. For example, when China imports bulk commodities from Australia, it may use inflated prices or unnecessary intermediary steps to transfer huge sums of money to CCP elites' overseas accounts. This money laundering dark web involves powerful political business connections, which explains why the CCP has so many high-ranking agents abroad and can carry out transnational repression against dissidents. Wen Zhao predicted that as the speed and scale of this money laundering dark web lead to disorder and conflict within the CCP, even bigger scandals may soon emerge. One analyst suggests that the introduction of mandatory social insurance, the Young Lan incident, and the increasing frequency and escalation of domestic protests are happening within the same time frame, indicating an underlying link. The CCP's introduction of mandatory social insurance is akin to admitting that its finances are depleted and cannot hold out much longer. This series of events has rapidly awakened the public, especially China's young people, who are responding in the most effective way possible, by halting their social insurance contributions. This is a direct attack on the system, and mandatory social insurance is destined to fail because, while the lowest income workers may earn the least, their roles are often the most irreplaceable. For example, if sanitation workers go on strike, trash piles up and sewage overflows. No matter how rich or powerful the elites are, they will have to compromise. Meanwhile, the CCP's 2 million soldiers are increasingly aware that once they take off their uniforms, they are just like ordinary workers. As a result, the 40 million people who have suspended their social insurance payments will grow rapidly, eventually cutting off the CCP's lifeline.